In this week's channel message from the angels, they explain that you are the wisdom keepers, that through the process of healing and clearing all of the stuff that you've been going through and everything that's been coming up, you are developing the emotional resiliency and the spiritual perspective to be able to stay in that center calm. And that skill you will carry through with you into periods of chaos and help to bring down the sense of the divine and peace onto the planet during what comes. So you, in that way, are a light worker who can help to heal humanity. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. It's great to have you here. And for those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. I do that by raising my awareness as high as I can go, a little higher. I connect, and then messages and healing come through, and I share it here with you guys on YouTube every Friday. So I also want to let you guys know, if you would like to receive some of the quotes that happen in these Friday messages, I've been producing those as shorts as well as graphics. If you'd like to receive those via email, I have an email sign-up page. I have two different lists. I have one that is specifically to receive those inspirational quotes, and I have another that is my master list. The master list, I almost never email you on. I send it out maybe once a month. I will send just like maybe a link to all the videos, like an update email that links all the videos that I've made for that week, and then an occasional announcement. And I'd love to encourage you to join the master list, because should anything happen to YouTube, then if you are on my email list, you will still have a way to stay in touch and to receive the messages. So if you join the master list, you will get almost no emails once a month, maybe twice or three times at the most if I'm sending out announcements. And then if you join the second list, which is for the weekly inspiration emails, that's where you can receive really cool reminders, graphics and short videos showing up close some of the specific meaningful quotes from the messages that week. So I'm going to put the link to that in the description box below so you can find it. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoy this week's message. So this one I'm calling You Are the Wisdom Keepers. We wish to inform you of something that matters to you all. You are encountering yourself differently. The knowledge of what you are has been shaken and transformed. The essence of what you are, once dormant, has risen. You are essentially your own in name and essence, but the fabric from whence you came is now different. Misunderstandings were rife and apparent through all that you perceived. And in these times coming, all these elements of your forebearers have been unbridled and released. You are now finding yourself in the midst of a torrent of awakening. These essential times of focus, a point in your awakening, are a placement for the fervor of the breath that you are taking to let in the life that is transforming you. These times are essential to your knowledge of yourself. Feel not the desperation that comes from all around you, the sense of yourself as being imposed upon. It is so different from how you were before. This is now an essential survey of your namesake, of the sense of what you are. And in these tides and torrents, there comes for you the greater surveillance of why you are here today. Feel in these times, though they are apparent in their hardships, a sense of grieving what was. Feel the loss. Let the self linger no more in those dormancies, but let them rise, let them become, let them be claimed for this life. Let them move through you. Fear nothing. Fear nothing. You are awakening, dears, farther than before. The self that you have not met is dawning, cresting just beyond the bridge of this next time coming, and your releasing into these aches of transformation brings on a brighter sunrise to yourselves just beyond the next morn. Feel in this time of foreboding, the heavens above are pregnant with the effort of what is for you. There is much to be observed and learned from. The encounters for yourself and yourself alone are as meaningful as anything ever come from the heavens. To know that your transformation has the import of that full life evolution that is moving through humanity. that you are but one point morphing, but you are the crux of this change as much as anyone. And what is before you now carries the weight of this entire generation. Thus, let it be not for nothing that you face your fear and move onward, that you let these times pull against you, buffeted and battered. Let them be what they are. Take them to heart. Hear yourself a call triumphant in these embattled situations. Feel the self resonating to the tune of a higher calling. To be the one, that self, who bridges their own background, who senses what they are in the midst of such difficulties, who can be themselves wherever they are in these times of disquiet. To find that self in this difficulty is to be where you are in times coming and to stay in the essence of your own tranquility. Know that you are able, capable, that you can sit in the midst of any turmoil and sense you are healing it and yourself and all that is around you simply by being. To be of that self who has found their own in the midst of these times is of a duration that lasts beyond this claiming. It stays with you evermore. It is a time of disquiet, this is certain. It is exemplary of what is to come. But in these times now, what you receive is simply for yourself alone, and it moves through you. In the times before you, what is known hereafter, is that the chaos external is for everyone, and your peace internal is strengthened. And you are one who knows themselves despite the chaos, who can be in the light from above when all else has failed, and can stand tall and true and be a lighthouse to show the way. We beseech you to be attentive to what it is that moves before you, what it is that darkens your way, to let it come and be encountered, to let it stay as long as needed till it rises, to let it be, in your estimation, simply a fragment of your old self that needs to feel itself surmised, understood, accepted, and released. To be that self who knows their own tranquility and peace and can find this wherever you are. In these times before you now and hereafter, the chaos external will provide a method by which humanity faces itself. And in this context, you are the wisdom keepers who will bring the eternal to this realm of suffering, to stand tall and make peace where there is none to be felt. All right. You guys ready to break this apart? All right, let's talk it through. Yeah. So, all right, so here's what they're saying. And I think this is the major message I get from this message is they're saying that when you are facing your own junk, when we're going through the difficulties that you're facing right now, that you are developing a skill, which is to develop that spiritual perspective where you can encounter and to face your own stuff is very triggering, right? Because it knows right where your tender spots are. Like it's going to get you right where you can be gotten. And if you can be in that and take the spiritual perspective and step back and be like, oh, I see this is happening and it's triggering me and I see myself and I love myself and I'm going to let it move through me. And if you can find that place of peace inside of you during this, so this is the skill that we're building. We are currently building the skill of being able to stay in a place of peace while we encounter ourselves. And the reason they want us to do this is because then when there is chaos in the world, we will have that skill already and we'll be able to be in the chaos and just be able to be in the place of peace. And then that peace that we can hold brings the divine down to the planet and helps to heal everyone around us, right? So that's the way showing that we're meant to do, is to hold and to have that level of self-mastery, I guess you would call it, self-mastery, where we are able to be in a situation and stay in our spiritual perspective. And then that becomes a way of healing humanity, right? Yeah, totally. Okay, all right, so let's take it apart paragraph by paragraph and hear how they explain it. So they say and this is really interesting. In the beginning, they're saying like, hey, something has shifted. Like you guys have moved into a new level of self-awareness, that there's stuff like basically it's like all those really like stuff that was like held in cement, like the stuff that's really hard to move is all shaking loose. And that's kind of what they're saying here is all those old like, family things and stuff you inherited and stuff that's really hard to see. All of that is rattling loose, they're saying. So they say, we wish to inform you of something that matters to you all. And that I love that matters to us all means that it matters to us, but it matters to all of humanity. And I think that's why they're saying like we are meant to be holding this energy for humanity. This matters to everyone, to all the humans as a collective. You are encountering yourself differently. The knowledge of what you are has been shaken and transformed. The essence of what you are now dormant has risen. So this is why we're going through the crazy, right? Is that all that stuff that was really locked in, that was hard to access, they're shaking it up for us so we can see it. You say, so we don't explode within, right? I guess maybe we are exploding a little bit within right now, right? Saying what an awesome responsibility we have willingly shouldered for humanity, for real. Like it's not easy. And there's always free will and free choice. Like we don't have to do it, but it's pretty cool that we decided to come here and to be part of this. And we can do it. Like that's the thing is why wouldn't we? Because we can. And they said in here, you can do it. Like you're already doing it. The fact that you're facing yourself and working through these issues is you're doing it. You're doing the hard stuff already. So they're saying right now, the essence of what you are once dormant has risen. So that is, we are being put in situations right now where we are intentionally facing ourselves. They say you are, and they use the word essence here like 5 times, and they use it in 5 different ways. You're saying, well, it is sort of free will. You're right. Some of it doesn't feel very much by choice, does it? I understand. All right. They say you are essentially your own in name and essence, but the fabric from whence you came is now different. So misunderstandings were rife and apparent through all that you perceived. So in other words, they're saying that the fabric from whence we came is like all of our childhood junk, our family legacy junk, the stuff that came through our bloodline, like all of that, all of the stuff that that were kind of formed all of our blocks and all of our issues. All of that, I said, misunderstandings were rife and apparent through all that you perceived. So all of that was like a filter through which we looked at the world. And we would perceive everything from our wounds. And by looking at through our wounding, we would then recreate the same circumstances over and over and over again. So that was how life was, right? And they're saying this is not the case anymore, that it's now different. They're saying that's how it used to be. They're saying all these elements of your forebearers, so all forebearers meaning all of your past selves, all of your past ancestry, have been unbridled and released. So unbridled, word of the day, is uncontrolled and unconstrained. How do you love that? Because that is implying that we were controlling, right? We were holding those things in, that it's always us that is blocking our progress. So to say that those elements have been unbridled means that we are doing the releasing, that we are the ones who is allowing it to move through us, opening up. So it's always us. So I love that it goes back to that. It's now uncontrolled because we were controlling it, right? And it is unconstrained because we were constraining it. Yeah. Yippee, word of the day, unbridled. Yeah. And you see, we do, if we want to be an unsold and free, we do what? Sorry, I'm not understanding. Could you explain that one to me? Okay, so then they say, okay, you are now finding yourself in the midst of a torrent of awakening. So I think this is it. They're saying that it's kind of hitting us from all sides. And that comes in sometimes in hard ways, sometimes in great ways, in expansion, like you might be going through a period of, crazy expansion, which is really pushing you out of your comfort zone. And we're heading into this month of March, which is where we have tons of like all the major planets are shifting into new signs, like Pluto and Saturn all shifting into new signs, which means major change. So we're all, like for every sign, heading into big change in the month of March. It's going to be like the most astrologically active of the year. So how fitting that they say that it's going to be a torrent of awakening, because don't humans love change? We just love all that change, right? And you say freeing the whole. Yes, absolutely. That's right. Yeah. All right. And hi, Rada, great to see you. All right. And you're saying, I feel this torrent. Yeah, I do too. I know it is kind of a crazy time right now. All right. And then they go on to say, next paragraph, they say these essential times of focus. And I love the word essential because they've used essential like 3 times already. And then they say these essential times of focus. So there's the double meaning there of that it is essential that we go through these times, and it is the essence of ourselves that we are focusing on. So it is an essential time of focus. Focus on our essence, which is essential. All right. And a point to say these essential times of focus, which is a point in your awakening, and this is sort of just one point of it, are a placement for the fervor of the breath that you are taking. And so it's sort of like saying this is the moment that is here to collect all of that fervor, which is like those heightened emotions, the anxiety, the fear, that like all the stuff that's going to come up and get caught right up in here as you're trying to work it out. I say it's a placement for the fervor of the breath that you are taking as you're starting to let yourself move into that release of emotion. And they say to let in the life that is transforming you. And of course, it's the breath, because the breath is how we accept life. So it's kind of referring to the fact that we are working through some really heavy stuff. They said these times are essential to your knowledge of yourself. So that's why we have to work through this stuff. This is about, and they've been saying that in past messages, we are trying our best to understand what we are. And by understanding, it doesn't mean learning all the details. It means recognizing our feelings and understanding our feelings are what we are, and to let our feelings exist. Right? So that's more of how they've been tying this all together over the past weeks, that the feelings are what have to be recognized. Yeah. All right. So then, next paragraph, they go on to say, feel not the desperation that comes from all around you, the sense of yourself as being imposed upon. So this is what's happening in terms of, as we're moving through these energies, this is maybe what's coming up, is a feeling of things pushing into your space and forcing you to deal with them, right? And there could be that, like, the sense of desperation that could be coming from you. It could be coming from someone else. There's the feeling of like urgency that is forcing you to deal with whatever it is that's coming up right now. Is not coming up in a subtle way. It's coming up in a like, here I am, and it's going to step into your space and make you face it. And that could be something great. It could be something really challenging. It is so different from how you were before. So they're trying to show us here how we've been changing. They're saying this is now an essential survey of your namesake. And so that of the sense of what you are. And in these tides and torrents, there comes for you the greater surveillance of why you are here today. So they're saying that what we have achieved as going through this stuff and working with our own energies is a better understanding of what we truly are, as we're starting to let these feelings come in and face them. And they're saying it's an essential survey of, this is now an essential survey of your namesake. So what are you named for, right? What is your true soul essence? So names have meanings, and there's something to them, and there's something to why we embodied with that specific name. And so it is sort of like a recognition of yourself at this embodiment. Like what is it, what aspect of the divine are you carrying that has now taken on this specific personality, this specific existence, to feel what life is through this perspective? And so they're saying that as we're working through all our stuff, we're starting to understand that core of ourselves. And they're saying, and in these tides and torrents, there comes for you the greater surveillance of why you are here today. So it's really bringing us, the knowing of ourselves is bringing clarity to our path, to why we're here, to all the things. So it's about taking that step back and having the spiritual perspective of understanding that everything is for us, and not to get lost in what's happening. And that's what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to get enough distance emotionally from what's happening to stay in it, to feel it, to let it move through us, but not to get lost in the story. Yeah. All right. Feel in these times, though they are apparent in their hardships, a sense of grieving what was. Feel the loss. So they're saying that as we look backwards and we see all these patterns and things like that we're trying to release. So it could be family patterns. It could be a thing where, say, for example, that you came from a family that had a history of poverty and you are trying to break free from that. But when you break free from it, you are also stepping out of all the things that make you part of the family you came from. It's like you're rejecting all of that. You're rejecting their belief systems, you're rejecting their way of life, and that can be really hard. And so they're saying that feel the loss. They're saying recognize that in all of our things that we're trying to let go of, there is identity, and that can be painful to let go of. So there are things within us that we have hesitated to let go of, things that we are holding on to a little longer than maybe we should, or that is really in our best interest because we are attached to them. So these could be our victim stories. They could be places where we feel like we've been really hurt. And we have now gotten tied into the idea of the other person being wrong. And when we're very locked into that person being wrong, that sets up a dynamic where we can't get free of the story. So there's places where we have a hard time. So they're saying face those. Look at the places where you need to grieve the loss of those identities, the loss of those stories, and the loss of those feelings of belonging when it's something you don't really want to belong to. When you look at what it does to your life. And what it does to your own, like how you're not really of that. So they're saying this, so to grieve it, to make space to grieve the loss of those parts of yourself. Then they say, let the self linger no more in those dormancies, but let them rise, let them become, let them be claimed for this life. Let them move through you. Fear nothing. Fear nothing. So it's really that idea of working through it and claiming it, saying, I'm gonna end this. This life is the one when I'm going to say no more of this. I'm going to not have this move with me from this point forward. So that's what I'm saying. Claim it for this life. Let this be the life that you work through it. Next paragraph, they say, you are awakening, dears, farther than before. So we're reaching new territory now in terms of what we're moving through. That as they're sort of shaking our foundations, getting to deeper levels of what we have let ourselves encounter, we're getting to deeper parts of ourselves. We're going farther than we have before. So we have now achieved a new level in terms of our progress, which is phenomenal. The self that you have not met is dawning, cresting just beyond the bridge of this time coming. And you're releasing into these aches of transformation brings on a brighter sunrise to yourselves just beyond the next morn. So they're showing our progress that we have, like everything you're going through right now is cumulative and you are making progress. So that's like the, attaboy, attagirl, like we're doing it. You know what I mean? We are doing it. And it's not easy. I know that, but they're saying that you're released into these aches of transformation, right? That it's bringing us to something that's going to be brighter and easier. We know that's coming. Yeah. And you're saying, woohoo, I can't wait to meet my new self. I know, right? Yeah. What are we going to look like without karma, you guys? It's an amazing thought. Yeah. All right. So then they say, and this is important because this is now getting into why this matters and the role that we are meant to play as individuals. They say, feel in this time of foreboding, the heavens above are pregnant with the effort of what is for you. There is much to be observed and learned from. The encounters for yourself and yourself alone are as meaningful as anything ever come from the heavens. To know that your transformation has the import of that full life evolution that is moving through humanity. So in other words, what you are going through right now, the ways in which you are transforming are impactful for everyone. They're saying that what you go through, it's almost like you can say that there are things that are some things that are true in the small are also true for the big. That like the shape of a seashell is the same shape as the shape of the universe. That what is true for the individual is true for the collective. And they're saying, so what you are going through right now is like a miniature embodiment of what all of humanity is going to go through. So in a way, you start like you are the first ripple outward. By going through this, you take on the form of this healing, and then that starts to ripple out through humanity. So the role that you're playing as an early adopter, as a way shower, as a leader, is to face your stuff and to let it move through you. And then this is, they're saying that this is an evolution that then will move through humanity. So so what you're doing is not isolated, and it's not just for yourself alone. It's for you. Everything starts with being for you, but you are benefiting everyone by what you're going through. They go on to say that you are but one point morphing, but you are the crux of this change as much as anyone. And I love the choice of the word morphing. I looked it up, and the specific thing is morphing, you think is changing, but the thing that's interesting is it's a gradual process of transformation. It's not all at once. To morph is to gradually change. And that's been like, it's been a process. Like we have to be, it's like step after step. We have to sort of heal in the layers and the onion that we always talk about. Like it is a morphing of transformation. And they say, but you are the crux of this change as much as anyone. So in other words, like you are right at the center of it. And it's a funny thing to think about the world revolving around you and your healing, but they're saying it does. They're saying the more that you embrace this, the more that the world and the healing of humanity revolves around your healing. That what you are doing is important. And to recognize it, that you're not doing this. It's not that you're not just, being tossed around by circumstances and things aren't coming at you for no reason, that it's important what you're doing. And by going through it, we can't see as easily. We can't step back and see the bigger picture and see that it's sort of like if you have a flock of birds, you have the one in the front that's sort of cutting through the wind and creating a draft. And then there's all the geese behind them, right? That are then going in. And so we are the goose in front. We're the front goose, right? And kind of cutting the way through. So you are the crux. You're that first point that's cutting a way through, that's making a way for everyone else. And you're saying the first followers. Oh, I love that first followers video. That is so flippin' hilarious. Humanity's first movers, love this. Yeah. And then you say, if the work I'm doing can help someone else find their power, then I'm even happier to do it. That is, yes, absolutely. And that's such a perfect thing to say, as a light worker. Like so many of you are here to help, right? And it's such a natural response to want to do things on behalf of others. But that's the cool thing, is to know that by focusing on you, you are helping everybody else, right? All right. So then, where are we? Okay. So the next paragraph, they say, oops, sorry, I lost a word there. They say, and what is before you? Okay, this is a big one. And what is before you now carries the weight of this entire generation. Let it be not for nothing that you face your fear and move onward, that you let these times pull against you, buffeted and battered. Let them be what they are. Take them to heart. So they're saying that that now carries the weight of this entire generation. So what's for you is for everyone. It carries the weight of all of humanity working through their stuff. And it is, as an early adopter, like right now we are dealing with our own stuff, and then down the road it's going to be the chaos in the world, and that humanity is going to be faced with that in a much larger way. And so by being the early adopter, we're able to stay in our own peace in the middle of that and help in that way. So they're saying, let them be what they are, take them to heart, right? Okay, next paragraph. They say, hear yourself a call triumphant into these embattled situations. Feel the self resonating to the tune of a higher calling. To be the one, that self, who bridges their own background, who senses what they are in the midst of such difficulties. So here they're saying, like, stand tall, stand proud, like recognize that you are doing this for a purpose. It's about being called, and being called as a light worker. And I use that to define people who are here to help, that term. And that idea that you are being called in service of humanity to heal yourself, right? To be that self who bridges their own background, who senses what they are in the midst of such difficulties, who can be themselves wherever they are in these times of disquiet. So this is the job, is to get to a space where we can be ourselves in the middle of when you've got, people from your past showing up, causing problems. You've got, whatever, who knows what's going on in your life that is challenging you right now. And it's going to be hard if you've got stuff coming, or it could be super expansion that's super scary, or whatever it is that's throwing you off your game, right? And to say, okay, within this, can you be who you are? Can you stay in your spiritual awareness as you go through this? And that's the goal,
because they say to find the self in this difficulty, which you are right now, is to be where you are in times coming and to stay in the essence of your own tranquility. So we're saying that what's coming in the future is going to be very hard on a lot of people. And we know that. They've given us some ideas of what's coming. And so if we are able to find peace now when we're being triggered in a really personal way, we should be able to find peace in this more global situation when that trigger is happening on a much broader scale, right? Right. So then they say, okay, to stay in the essence of your own tranquility, know that you are able, capable, that you can sit in the midst of any turmoil and sense that you are healing it and yourself and all that is around you simply by being. And this to me is like, boom, this is the sentence, because it's saying that when you get to that space where you can stay in chaos and still stay true to your own center, stay in that spiritual perspective and not lose yourself in the fear, the panic, or whatever it is, when you can stay in that love at your center, if you just hold that, when you're in a situation where the world is going through difficulties, if you can just hold that energy, you are healing. Like you're healing yourself, you're healing others, you're healing the planet. You're bringing that divine energy down to the planet. So that is like, that's why we're here, right? This is it. Like, this is what we're doing. What is so cool, right? Simply by being. It's all you got to do is hold the light. But we got to, in order to hold the light, we have to learn how to be triggered or put in situations that are scary and not let it rattle us. All right. Next paragraph, they say to be of that self who has found their own in the midst of these times right now is of a duration that lasts beyond this claiming. So they're saying if you can do this now, that skill will stay with you. And they say it stays with you evermore. It is a time of disquiet. This is certain. It is exemplary of what is to come. So they're saying that what you're going through now, they're saying, yep, it is pretty difficult right now. And they're saying this is an example. It is showing you the feelings that might be coming to you in the future. They're saying, but in these times now, what you receive is simply for yourself alone, and it moves through you. In the times before you, what is known hereafter is that the chaos external is for everyone. So in other words, that what we're going through right now is a very personal experience of chaos, that we're going through a period of whether it be expansion or contraction or whatever it is that's specifically designed to shake your foundations and help you free things up and help you face things. That it's a very personal experience. But that what's coming, that it's going to be a external chaos, that everyone is experiencing the same kind of chaos. And this is a lot of the things they talked about starting a couple years ago. They gave us some perceptions of what we might be looking at. And some of these they've been saying are not that far off in terms of what we're moving into. But we needed to have our time to go through our healing first so we could hold the light, right? They're saying that chaos external is for everyone and your peace internal is strengthened. So that's the goal. And you are one who knows themselves despite the chaos, who can be in the light from above when all else has failed, and can stand tall and true and be a lighthouse to show the way. So that is what we are working toward. By going through our stuff right now, we are trying to get to a space where we are accustomed to staying in our peace, even when we are triggered, even when things are chaotic. And it's a very personal chaos now, and it may be a more global chaos later. But we will have that skill, that ability that we have strengthened, right, and built up, so that we're able to bring in that divine love and heal from on the planet once people really need it. Yeah. And you're saying we will go through it twice? No. Now, once you clear your stuff, that's your stuff cleared. But then the next layer is the structures of the world start to unravel, right? Like the things that people count on start to not be available anymore. And we've been seeing this already. And my daughter had an amazing term for it that she heard somewhere. It was like a poly calamity or something like that. It was poly something. It was like, you know how the word unprecedented is just tossed around, like everything is an unprecedented storm, unprecedented earthquake, everything is unprecedented. And it's just one thing on top of another on top of another. And we are becoming the frog in the boiling pot of water where the temperature is just getting higher and higher and higher. And that's happening where we're just getting numbed to, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. We're just getting numbed to it. And it's getting faster and faster and faster. And so, yeah, so the ways in which these affect different parts of the world is going to be really different in different regions of the world. But there is a gradual inability to count on things. And people are going to be really challenged. And it's going to be some very specific stuff that the angels have told us about. And they don't tell us anything to make us fearful. They're telling us so that we won't be caught flat-footed, so that we can hold the light, so that we can do what we came here for, right? So that we can be the ones that are in a period of chaos and can say, hey, this is okay. It's going to be all right. And to feel it deeply, right? To know that we're headed to something amazing, and just to have faith and to be in that peace, to be in the love, right? And that's the goal. So they tell us what we need to know so that we're not caught off guard, so that we trust in the process. Yeah. To make it easier for us. Yeah. So, and then, okay, so here they go on to say, we beseech you to be attentive to what it is that moves before you, what it is that darkens your way, to let it come to be encountered, to let it stay as long as needed till it rises. To let it be, in your estimation, simply a fragment of your old self that needs to feel itself surmised, understood, accepted, and released. So this is the whole thing they were saying last week. I think it was in the week before, which was about how do we clear ourselves. It's recognizing that the feelings have to be like to surmised, understood, accepted, released, and that we need to see them. It makes it easier for us to process them if we don't get lost in the story of what's happening in front of us, but we just see it as something like an energy that we already had, that's from before, and we're just bringing it into this life so that we can heal it. So we try to stay, when something happens, you just go, oh, I guess I have that in me. Okay, I'm going to reach backwards and heal it back there because it's not as triggering, right? It's not as hard for you to work through it if you're working through the old incident as opposed to the one that's facing you. And so that was a tool they gave us to help us move through some of these issues that we're dealing with right now. Yeah. All right. And then they say, this last paragraph, they say, to be that self who knows their own tranquility and peace and can find this wherever you are. In these times before you now and hereafter, the chaos external will provide a method by which humanity faces itself. And in this context, you are the wisdom keepers who will bring the eternal to this realm of suffering, to stand tall and make peace where there is none to be felt. And that, I think, is the most powerful paragraph of this whole darn thing. Like, that is boom, right? That is, and what is a light worker? Like, to hold the light. And now I think before it was always like, oh, hold the light, but it just didn't have as much. Like, how do you hold the light? What is that? Now I get it. Like, holding the light is about healing our stuff, getting to a place where we build the skill of being in our spiritual perspective and staying in our center as we learn to move through our issues, so that when there is external chaos, we can continue to hold the light and bring the sense of the eternal, of divine love onto the planet and help to heal it from within. Yeah. Whew. Whoa. Okay, you're saying I needed this message so much. I'm so glad, Christine. Thank you for being here. You're saying, right, but I think of that as twice because all around will be upheaval. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is kind of like two big yucky sandwiches. Two big sandwiches, one after another. Yeah. You're saying holding the light, but knowing the darkness which we outshine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if I am numb or healing. And you're saying, wow, I actually wrote about my rock with this week on my blog. These last 2 months for me have been extremes: happy, sad, scared. Yeah. And what I realized was that I moved through my feelings as they came. However, there was this underlying knowing in me that everything was okay. My rock is my deep spiritual foundation that I anchored in. That is so good. My rock within. That is so awesome. Yes, that is exactly what we're trying to develop. That's exactly beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I think I missed a couple of your comments. You say only once for ourselves and then we go to help others. Yes, that's exactly right. And you're saying so reassuring. I'm so glad, you guys. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I will see you again next Friday for another angel message. All right, have a great weekend. Bye, you guys.